and Dan.
Hi, Woody. How you doing?
I'm good, Dan. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Apologies to ask a question that I'm sure most of the other folks already know about, but the tandem situation, is that something that you knew coming into spring was a possibility, or is that how it kind of evolved? And is it something you could see staying that way through the whole season?
I think it's something we actually kind of talked about it, honestly, at the end of last year. I think we knew we were going to have a young staff, depending on the guys that we were going to have on our roster. And knowing after, not a lot of innings last year, young guys that we got, and obviously when we got Dane Dunning, for Lance, a lot of these guys haven't pitched. We looked at this year as probably being the most at-risk pitchers have ever been in. And we didn't want to take that chance with some of these guys. And some of it, I think Jordan, probably, like I said, he's a little different than the other guys. His was more from a performance last year, but he's worked tremendously hard to get his stuff to where it is now, and he looks really good. So I don't see Jordan staying in that role the whole year. I'm hoping he doesn't, to be honest with you. I hope he just kind of, pitches the way he did the other day, and we can just make him a regular starter. The other guys, though, they're young. And so we're gonna monitor their innings and pitches and make sure, at some point, maybe halfway through the year, if we've kept him under control, then we can have enough innings left over where we can just let him go at that point. But we're just really making sure health is a priority with these guys, and honestly maximizing them. If they're in shorter stints, they can, they'll have more success. Hopefully, get their feet wet and gain some confidence.
Okay, great. Appreciate it. Thank you.
We'll go to Kennedy.
I actually did have a question about the tandem, and I asked Dane about this yesterday, and I was just wondering, is Dane always going to be on the front end of that tandem? Is that how you kind of planned it, or is it sometimes going to switch up?
I think it could. I think we have the ability to. And listen, this is a very, very fluid situation. I know I've kind of outlined it the first time around. Kind of what we're going to do. I think as we go, it's going to change, and the fact that we could, if it's a very left-hand dominant lineup. Maybe it's better if Taylor Hearn starts, and then Dane comes in after him. Obviously, with Toronto, they're very right-handed, and Dane's he's a good matchup for him. And so that it made sense this time, and we were going to do it regardless. But I do think there is a situation where they could flip him at some point, especially if Taylor, Dane does really well, and Dane, kind of like Benjamin the other day, doesn't get to throw as many pitches or as many innings as we'd like. We may just flip him for that reason, just so that Taylor gets a chance to go deeper into his outing, kind of like with Benjamin. He only threw 30 pitches the other day instead of the 50 or 60 that we really wanted him to throw.
Okay, we'll go to Evan.
So we talked a little bit about this during spring training at one point in time when Nick was struggling with some swing and miss. But it seems like there's been a lot of swing and miss to start the season. What are you seeing from him right now?
I see a hitter that's going through hopefully just something that's kind of normal. Listen, I mean, all of our guys are, they don't have a ton of, experience in the big leagues. So these are all things that we got to kind of navigate through while keeping an eye on them. Obviously evaluating these guys, see if they can handle it and get themselves out of it, kind of like Leo. I don't think Leo's ever, struggled like he feels like he is right now, and it's good for these young guys to have to endure this and figure out how to get out of it. Solak, one thing I said this in spring, he could look awful for 4 or 5 at bats or 10 at bats, and then he just doesn't quit though. He doesn't give in, and that's what we love about him. So. All it takes is one swing sometimes with him, and he'll get back on track. But I do, the one thing that I do get concerned with young guys is just we want more consistency. And so it's like trying to get him to understand how to do that even when he doesn't feel good, I think is the biggest challenge for every big leaguer. But especially Nick, he's got a different swing. But to just be consistent, especially if I'm putting him in the middle of the lineup, it's really important for our offense.
You see, I hate to use the phrase pressing, but do you see a guy who's trying to do too much, especially since he was the only right-hander you had in the middle of the lineup?
Yeah, I mean, this is something I talked to him about it in spring training. Listen, if I put him in 4, 5, 6, whatever, knowing that he's kind of the in-between with all the lefties, I told him not to think about that. And, he was really good about it. He was like, no, I'm not gonna change anything. I said, listen, if you're hitting 4th or 5th, I'm not asking you to, to drive, hit 40 balls out of the ballpark, this year. I just need you to be consistent with what you do and what you do well. And he understood that. I mean, he didn't. I think right now he just gets frustrated because he wants to help us win. I don't think it's he's looking at it like I'm hitting fourth or fifth. I got to do this. I got to do that. No, he wants to help our team win, and he feels like when he doesn't produce, that he's not doing that. So it's just a competitor in him, But he's going to keep fighting. I know that for sure.
Is anything? Do you feel like anything has carried over into the field, or has it just been, a weird 4 days for him?
I think it always does. I think, we talked about this with, Teoscar Hernandez on the other side. He obviously figured some things out offensively, and I feel like he's throwing the ball better from the outfield. He's playing better defense, and so much of this game, our value and our worth in this game revolves around how well we hit. And it's the psyche of every major league player that with the, from an offensive standpoint. And I know that feeling well. When I was hitting well, I felt like I was the best defender on the field, even though I might not have been. And I think it's so tied to everything we do. So, of course, when he feels like he's not doing well, Solak and, at the offensive side, it's going to naturally carry over. But he's so resilient, I guess, in his mindset that he's just going to find a way to get it done. And like I said, it's only been, 4 games.
Okay, thanks, Woody.
Emily.
What have you seen from Izzy in the leadoff spot?
Consistency. I think that's, the one thing I've challenged him, and just, I talked to, some people in Toronto about him today, and everybody's kind of intrigued by his story. And I think for me, it's just the consistency, man. Just he sets the tone for our team, our organization, from, when I put him in the leadoff spot. And listen, I mean, if he, were to struggle, or, I've talked to him about that, especially versus righties, I'm not afraid to bump him down. But I think right now it's really important for our team to just feel his energy at the top. At shortstop, we feel that on the defensive side. But on the offensive side, just his commitment to every at-bat, not taking a pitch off, just grinding and grinding. I think that, he sets the tone for the rest of our guys that come behind him. And that's what I've seen.
Do you think it was for him to watch Chu on a daily basis?
Yeah. I mean, in our hitters meetings, Kiner, brings up a lot of, things that obviously, Chu represented. We want to be patient. We want to wear out the opposing pitcher. But at the same time, if they're going to groove us a fastball down the middle, we're going to hammer it, whether that's the first pitch of the game in his regard, or, it's the sixth pitch of an at-bat. Like, he took that to heart, and he understands. Like, we have an identity as an offense. Like, if you throw the ball over the heart of the plate, we're going to hit you, and we're going to hit it hard. And, taking that from Chu's the best I've ever seen at it. He was ready the second that game started. Some guys like to ease their way into games, and, we've kind of tried to get rid of that by the way we train and prepare before games and making sure these guys are ready. The second they step into that batter's box, they're ready to let that first swing go. And Chu is the best representative of that. I mean, he hit balls, first pitch out of the stadium in Oakland. He did that routinely. So, Kiner to take that from him at times, he doesn't have the power that Chu had, but he also has the ability to bat the ball, to hit the ball hard to the middle of the field.
Thanks, Woody.
Okay, we'll go to Jared.
Woody, what stood out to you about Dane Dunning this spring?
The competitor. I think that by far was the overwhelming thing that kind of struck me. I love, he's a smart kid, loves talking baseball, loves talking pitching, wants to get better. He's obsessed with being good, being great, to be honest with you. But I think the thing that really stood out was just when he got on that mound, facing an opposing batter, even if it was our own, but especially if it was a different uniform, it just heightened everything with him, man. He loved to be out there, he loved to compete, and honestly, he pitched better. I know the first bullpen I saw him throw, he was kind of working on some things. He was getting frustrated, and then Doug told him, "Hey, all right, here we go. We got Mike Trout hitting." And all of a sudden, he just started dotting pitches right where he wanted, because he visualized, okay, I got a guy in the batter's box. I need to get out, and that's a great quality. A lot of guys are really good. Like I said, they're lab rats. They're really good in a controlled environment. So you put them in chaos, they crumble. He's the opposite.
With Leody, is it a matter of just making better swing decisions, or is there something mechanical that you guys have detected through the first few games?
I think it's more honestly confidence. To be honest, and listen, hitting's really hard, and the second you start, your confidence wanes a little bit. There are some mechanical things there that I know he works on every day, and they haven't quite translated early on into the season. I think that may have to do with some trying to get off to a good start, trying to make sure he gets some positive results. He's missed some pitches that he typically would swing at or he would hit forward, and then at the same time that kind of turns into a little bit of less conviction in your swing, fouling pitches off that he normally puts forward, and then that kind of snowballs into chasing some pitches, and he's trying to do too much. So it's like I said, it's tough to hit, man. But he just needs to kind of get back to his foundation of making good swing decisions, putting good swings on balls, and taking it from there.
Okay, a couple more before we bring Kyle in. Let's go to Alex.
What do you, for Jonah Heim, are you seeing the progression, the fluidity that he's having with the pitching staff, or was there not much progression that needs to be made with him?
No, I think there always is. I think him and Trevino are both young catchers that, we're constantly talking. I know Bobby Wilson and Walk and, our whole pitching coach staff, they talk with these guys all the time. And they love talking baseball, man. Our catchers are two of the, the brightest guys I've been around, especially at a young age. They want to learn. They want to grow. They want to figure out, how to be the best catcher. They constantly work on their skills. Jonah's great. I mean, Jonah's, he's obviously coming from Oakland, so they did things a little bit different, but, he took some of what he learned there, and they obviously pitch well there. So he took some of that mentality and brought it here and helped our guys out, to be honest with you. So it's, I look forward to seeing him continue to grow. Like I said, he's obsessed with being good and being better.
And with Ronald Guzman, is there any sort of, because he's not getting the at-bats he typically has in the past, is there any concern at the plate?
No, I don't think so. I think it is tough. It is tough when you're not getting the everyday at bats, and I know that. And I told him that. I said you just need to keep working, and the days you're not playing, you need to find ways, in the cage work in BP to really challenge yourself to try to replicate game situations and game pitching and however possible. That's the only chance you have. And knowing that when you play that day, you may miss some pitches you normally hit. Or your timing may be a little off. And I know that. I did it my whole career. So I just told Guzzi, just try to stay as confident as you can, have conviction in your swing, and go out there knowing that things may not always work out the way you want, but you got to keep fighting. And he has. Honestly, I've been impressed with his attitude so far, and he hasn't given in. Try to get him back in there again today, obviously against the righty, and hopefully he'll get some success.
Appreciate it, everybody. Thank you.
Last one, Levi.
Chris, I know he is no longer your player, but what are the Yankees getting in Rougned Odor?
Obviously, they're going to get a very good teammate and guy that's probably got a little chip on his shoulder right now, in a good way. I think I've spoken with Rougie, and before obviously we let him go, and everybody that's talked to him since then. He's in good spirits. He's working hard, and he knew that hopefully he was going to get another opportunity. And he's going to a good team, man. They're obviously a contender, and he's got a really good opportunity to kind of reset things, I guess, for his career. And I'm happy for him. Honestly, it's a good spot for him. It's a good ballpark to hit. Hopefully, he'll have a ton of success.